Hey, okay. Oh, is there a password? That's weird. Try 1 2 3 4 5 6, or try. I'm sorry, 1 2 3 4 5. Wow, come on, Sabine Merville.
For me, I'm just doing both and seeing. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, create a page, and then just direct people to it. And when it's
Cool.
all up, I'll give you the link if you wanna
Yeah,
do
for
it too.
sure, man. I definitely want it. Yeah. So you're just going to
Yeah,
ask me some questions. What do you tell me a little bit? I need to be ready.
yeah. It's just okay. So basically, what you said yesterday, because you made a comment, and let me try and go find it in a second. And it was the exactly what I've been saying, and like what
Oh,
I
it was
see
on
that
that
people don't
one.
understand.
Yeah, it was on that one post, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I can't remember
he
now
says so
exactly.
few people really understand the equations for retirement income.
Right.
Sad, so many better ways to plan.
Yeah, there you go.
So
There
what
it is.
what I'll do, I'll reread it again, and I'll start recording, reread it again, and then we'll just have a conversation. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be long,
Okay.
15, 20 minutes, and
That's cool.
just save it. It doesn't have to be. Don't feel like there's anything you have to say, but just the information you gave me and you've given me and what you
Okay.
do for people, just share it and people will see it. Okay,
All right, man.
there you go.
Cool.
It says I have to ask you for permission to record. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Okay, it's
fine.
recording. Perfect. All right, guys, I'm here with a gentleman that I learned a lot from. A couple months ago, we've been talking back and forth, and he has so much information to give out, and so that's why I really want him to come on here. We've done a lot about the stocks, about the crypto, but we're talking about more security because in this investment strategy, what you want to make sure you do is cover your bottom line. And I've been talking to Jeff for a couple days, and he made a comment. We're friends on Facebook, and he made a comment, and that comment spoke to exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. He said so few really understand the equation for retirement income. Sad. So many better ways to plan. So Jeff, just starting off that, go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. Really been a while since
Mhm.
we had talked some, but good to see you again. So, what I mean by income and better ways to plan. So, a couple things there. What a lot of people don't understand, Max, and is that retirement is all about income. It's not about how much money you got saved or how many houses you got. It's not
Mhm.
assets. Assets are fine, but you live on paychecks, right? I can't live
True.
on this house. I can't eat this
Yeah.
house, right? So you got to have income, and turning assets into income is part of the trick. And a lot of people just think I'm going to build up a big pile of assets, but they don't think about the distribution side of the equation. When you're going to spend those assets, how are you going to spend those assets? The spend down strategy, if you will. And really, the distribution side is a completely different mindset because you've been spending most of us 30, 40 years piling up the money, putting the 401k, building, building up equity, cryptos, whatever it is, right? And
Mhm.
then now we plant the flag at the top of the mountain, take the picture, but you're not going to live up there. Right?
Mhm.
You got to get down off
Got
of
to
that
come back down,
mountain.
right?
And that's the challenge because most financial planners don't specialize in the distribution side and coming down off that mountain safely. And that's one reason we have a retirement crisis in this country. And I think you know that we've talked about that. There's so many people that they think they've got enough assets saved on the top of that mountain, and then they find out that because of taxes and inflation,
Mhm.
healthcare costs, they're going to have some problems. And that's what I want. I have a mission to change, to work one, change the world one person, one family at a time. That's my motto.
Yeah.
So there's a lot better ways to plan. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yep. Please.
Okay, right. So just relying on one asset class is dangerous. Okay. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs are what most people rely on, right? They
Mhm.
build up those stock, that 401k, that IRA, and they put that money away and they think, hey, I got X and I'm going to be able to live on that. And, there's rules like the 4% rule, which is, again, that's dangerous to rely on just a simple rule. 4% rule means you can take out 4% of whatever you got and you should make 30 years. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, first of all, there's two major problems with that rule. First of all, let's say I saved $1 million. Well, that's pretty good. If I was able to save $1 million, that means I probably live pretty well, right? I
Mhm.
mean, if I'm saved a million, well, the 4% rule says I can only take out 40,000. Well, I don't know if people want to live on 40,000,
Yep.
after they saved a million. But that's what it says. And the problem with that is it's been really debunked now because it came out in the mid '90s when bonds were paying 5-6%. Through the decade of the '90s, the stock market did over 13%.
Mhm.
We changed. I mean, since 2000, the stock market since 2000 has only returned 6.59%
Mhm.
average growth. Only 6.59. And by the way, 6.5 is not half of 13 when it comes to percentages. All right. Most people don't understand that.
Mhm.
6.59 is like a quarter of the
Yeah.
return over time, right? Because you got compound return.
Compound. Yep.
So it's not half. So people don't
Yeah.
understand that, right? They don't understand that kind of math, and that's what I specialize in, getting people. Hey, man, six sounds okay. It's not that bad, but that's also before taxes and fees.
Yeah.
Okay, and taxes and fees are going to cut at least
That's
another
well.
couple percent off of that thing, right? So you got that problem. Another big problem with a simple rule of thumb like the 4% rule, it doesn't take into account what we call sequence of return risk. Okay, what's that
Mhm.
big term? Well, it's really simple. The sequence of returns of the market affects how your money's going to last over time. So we probably know people who tried to retire in 2007, 2008, thinking they had $1 million, and then we say it's not a 401k, it's a 201k.
Yep.
It's half of what it was,
Yep.
right? They thought they had $1 million, all of a sudden they got $500,000, and they're greeting people at Walmart. And that's really what you got to avoid. And that's why, again, don't rely on a simple rule. It's not super complicated, but it's also not that simple. Okay,
Mhm.
there are strategies that are safe. You mentioned the floor. I think
Yeah.
the floor. What you want to do is make sure you got your paychecks. Okay, make sure you can pay your mortgage, eat, pay the car bill, whatever, day
Insurance.
to day electric bill, things like that. Make sure that's covered. But that alone, and of course most people don't even do that, and that needs to be with solid income that you can count on. Okay. And if you're all stuck in the stock market and you're dependent on those returns, you're asking for some trouble, I think, especially now with this market.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is one thing that um, I think people are realizing now because we're now in some kind of a 12-year bull market. We had the big glitch in March of last year, 1 year
Yeah.
ago, but boom, it came back and everybody's happy, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden everything's fine, right? But man, if you look at valuations and you look at price earning ratio, those kind of things, how are stocks valued, you'll find that by almost every metric we are at extreme values right now. Okay, and many metrics, this market is more of a value than the dot-com boom in
Yeah.
1999 when it was just going crazy. Now, valuation is not a good tool to predict the trend of a market alone. Okay, so there's no nobody knows how big a bubble can get.
Mhm.
It can get bigger. The Fed's over there cranking out $1.9 trillion, if you can imagine how much money that is. And that's a lot of that's going to end up in the stock market. It is, right? So we know that there's a really good chance that market's going to keep going up. And again, I don't have a problem with that. Put
Yeah.
some money in the market, but make sure you've got some safe money so you can pay those paychecks, right? So
Hmm.
Tom Hagner calls it the above the base number play checks, right?
Hmm.
So put some money in the market, man. If it goes up 20, 30%, fantastic. Now you have your play checks for later,
Hmm.
right? And then but you're going to have to be really careful of this market. And I'm absolutely not saying don't put money in the market. I'm saying just be really careful. Make sure you're diversified. Okay.
Hmm. How big? Two things from what you said. How much do you think of an impact inflation is going to have, because they are printing trillions of dollars?
Yeah,
Some
great
people,
question.
I've been talking to some people. I'm big on crypto
Mhm.
because I think crypto has a positive outlook in the future, whereas the US dollar has a negative outlook. But how big do you think inflation is going to play into all of this by the end of the year and for the next 5 years?
I wish I had that crystal ball, man.
Right.
We've been expecting inflation for quite a while. I have,
Yeah.
because they've been pumping money, QE, and all this other stuff, right? But we didn't see it. Now, there's two aspects that affect inflation, okay? There's the money supply, M1 or M2, or however you measure it. And then there's what's called the velocity of money, okay? Now, the velocity of money, another term, but it's not hard to understand. That's how much money moves in the system.
Mm.
Velocity means speed, right? So if I'm working with you and I pay you $50 and you immediately turn around and pay somebody else $50 and somebody else takes, that's moving fast. But what's happened in the economy, that money's not moving very fast. If you look at a graph of velocity of money, it's actually dropped a lot over the last 5, 6 years, even with all the
Mm.
money printing. So there's two sides to that inflation equation. But I can't believe that we can continue to print more and more and more money and not have some kind of inflation. And we're actually starting to see it. So I heard a statistic yesterday that it will surprise you. Of all the currency printed in the U.S. since the beginning of the U.S., all of it, 40% got printed in 2020. Can you believe that? That's shocking. That's true. And
Wow.
that's before this stimulus coming out right now, right? That's before that. So
Dang.
you can't believe that they're going to be able to put that many currency units into this system and not have inflation occur. It's bound to come up somewhere. And again, whether the government's, so the inflation numbers came out yesterday, right? 0.5%. Oh, it was
Mhm.
great. That's one reason the stock market was up today, because they felt good. They were worried about inflation. It's only 0.5% or whatever. Well, I don't know about you, but my wife goes to market and she saw the price of meat pretty much double in the last year, pretty much double. And I mean, this basic stuff like
Yeah.
flour and sugar has all gone up 10% or something in a year, easy.
Yeah.
So we see that clearly gasoline's gone up, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
We see that. And I don't know how much you look at commodities. I mean, not just gasoline, but most commodities have gone up quite a lot in the last year. And
Yeah.
commodities are the base building blocks of the economy, right?
Hmm.
So if commodities are going up, well, pretty soon everything's driving off commodities is going to go up.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've seen clearly, we talked about it because people around here trying to build new houses, housing boom, lumber. Lumber has at
Hmm.
least doubled,
Yeah.
doubled,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
man. And you can't, it's hard to even get lumber
Yeah.
right now. So all of that says to me, 0.5%, hard to believe, hard
Yeah.
for me to believe.
I
And
feel
I'm
like
gonna, while we're on
they're
that
just trying to
topic,
throw it
sorry.
under the rug.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't, for example, the government numbers don't take into account gasoline. You know that?
Yeah.
They don't put, I don't know how they think you can live without gasoline these days, but it's not in
Yeah.
that number. But I want to talk about another part of that too that's interesting that a lot of people may not see. Um, I call it shrinkflation. Okay, I didn't coin that term. I stole it from somebody. But shrinkflation is you're paying the same, but you're getting less. Okay.
Yep.
You know, you've seen it. The size of that cola bottle. Cola bottle got smaller. That
Yeah,
Hershey bar got smaller, right?
yeah,
But that price didn't go down. And I'll tell you where I see it a lot because, and look, restaurants have had a hard go, and I'm not picking on restaurants. It's been a hard business in the last year.
yeah,
I feel sorry for a lot of those people. It's been rough. But you go to the restaurant, the menu's on a little printed piece of paper. It's got about 6 items on it. They
yeah.
serve you a plastic fork and knife, and you know you it's not the same experience, but the prices are the same,
Hmm.
right? And we're seeing that too. I'm sure you're seeing it.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I've paid attention to, and I don't think a lot of people really have seen it, is natural disasters have killed a lot of the production of the food, of a lot of the things that a lot of the commodities that we partake in every day.
Yeah,
And what I think what's happening is, one, the inflation is gonna go up, but the amount of things we have available for the population has gone down.
yeah,
And with the things that have happened over the winter, what they call it, the dark winter or the cold winter, these things are going. You're going to see the effects in the next couple of months. Like right
yeah.
now, it's like people, because the results, the yields haven't come out yet, but the yields are going to be a lot less come time.
Yeah, there's definitely been that. I mean, you look at the California wildfires that wiped out a lot of stuff, including wine, one of my favorite things. You know, and
Right?
so you know that was painful. There's been a lot of other things going on. I mean, we had tornadoes here and everything, and that affected. Um, and then you just see general supply chain problems still from the
Hmm.
COVID, right? You
Yeah.
know, certain things just didn't get done. I'll give you an example. So we want my wife. It's spring now. It's pretty here. I'm outside. My wife wants to buy a glider. You know, a thing that you can sit on there in the front porch,
Hmm.
and they're made out of recycled plastic. They make them out of like recycled soda bottles and stuff. And they have a bunch of them, but they don't have the one we want. And I said, "Well, when can you get it?" And she said, "I have no idea because the recycling plant that does the plastic shut
Yeah.
down for
Yeah.
months,
Yeah.
right?" So it's just a simple example,
Yeah.
but you know, you multiply that's $1,000 glider, right? So you multiply that thing by all the things going on in the economy,
Yeah.
and it's hard. I mean, we may see a boom because people are opening up and getting better, but I think there's still going to be these, like you said, these fundamental inability to get commodities and things that we make stuff with.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I know we talked. This was probably more than maybe 6 months ago, five
Probably,
6 months ago.
yeah.
And I told you, for me, what I was, I'm new in the game. You're a seasoned vet, and I've learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
What what I've been trying to do is live it, and not just preach it. And that's one thing I've told you, and that's a big part of why I'm doing this. But in terms of investment, because a lot of people that I've talked to, they're not as worried about the bottom dollar. They're not as worried as about security, and all they want to do is gain, gain, gain.
Uh,
But my strategy is play really great defense. So limit how much you spend as much as possible and invest wisely.
Exactly.
Now, in
Per-
terms of the investments, what would you recommend for people?
Okay, great question. Now, first of all, I'm a fiduciary financial advisor, so I can't make personalized financial advice. Okay, so I got to put that disclaimer out there. But in general, and by the way, I want to go back to what you said, a seasoned guy. That's a nice way of saying I'm old. But I am a lot older than you, Max. And
Yeah.
you know the thing is, you have time, so I don't have as much time. That's just a fact of life,
Yeah.
right? So when you're on that accumulation side, you know, I was talking about that a little bit before, and you hadn't gotten to the top of that mountain, put that money away. You know, you can afford to take more risk with your
Hmm.
money, right? So you can afford to take risk with some of your money. But I'm telling you, from a guy with the gray hair, I'd be living in a lot nicer house if I had followed what you just said. Let's really be careful about the losses. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem we have is that the losses will bite you a lot more than the gains,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, you get a 50% loss. A lot of people don't even realize basic math. You have to double to get to
Yeah.
even, right?
Yeah.
And if you go back to the dot-com crash in 2000, the Nasdaq went down 80%, right? 80%. And now the Nasdaq is the flashy stocks, right? All
Yeah. Yeah.
the dot coms and all the today the Nasdaq is still kind of like that, but it's stocks like GameStop, all
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
stocks
Yeah.
that people are speculating in.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that when the crash comes, oh man, it's going to be bad. I mean, you drop down 80%. And so
Yeah.
the NASDAQ, I get it. I want to say it took 8 years to get back to zero.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you got 8 years. Now, you don't want to lose that kind of money. I know, even at your age. But what about retirees who are 70? They're
Mm-hmm.
living on that money. So that's sequence of return risk right there. They don't
Mm-hmm.
have 8 years to get back, right?
Yeah.
They live on that money. So where were you going with that? Oh, okay,
Investment.
portfolios and
Yeah.
distribute and so diversification. And let's talk a little bit about that. So as long as you have a good bit of your money in something that won't lose money, then you have what I call an option. You have a ticket to go play a little bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the worry is most people have most of their money. I see it every day. 80, 90% of their money in stock market. Well, that's risky. We already talked about that. If you had 20, 30, 40% of your money in something that won't lose money at all, then 20, 30, 40% of your money in stock market, well, you got 10 or 20% that you can play with a little bit. You can
Mm-hmm.
go do something more risky. And this is what I got into an interesting discussion because on my site, I was talking about cryptos. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of cryptos. And I'll talk just a little bit about that in a second. But um, she said, "You're talking about retirement. Why are you even talking about cryptos? That's risky." And I said, "You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's been amazing what's happened with just Bitcoin, but the other ones too.
Yeah.
But it could all go to zero. We don't know, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go at any age speculate with a huge percentage of your money on crypto. I think these people. I have a friend who said I have half my net worth in crypto, and I said, man, that's dangerous.
That's, yeah.
uh, you don't have to
Yeah.
because with crypto you can have what's called an asymmetric bet. Okay, and that's
Okay.
exactly the kind of bet I made, and I think you did, where you put a little bit of money in there, and it ain't gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Tell you what I did with my brother. I said, put a couple $100 in there, just a couple hundred, that 2016.
Yeah.
Put a couple $100 in there. If you lose it, it's a nice restaurant meal. Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not going to hurt you that bad.
Yeah.
Guess what? He didn't lose it. He's
Yeah.
really happy. So it's asymmetric, right? There was a lot more potential for gain than loss. Now, is that the case today with Bitcoin running what, 57,000 or something? Not quite as obvious now,
Yeah.
but there are, as there's the whole blockchain, the whole infrastructure and everything. What's going on now with all of these tokens that that actually can pay you interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm making even on simple stuff. I'm making
Yeah.
6 to 10% interest on simple stuff. I don't even have to track that. But if you do the staking and all that, as you know, I think you get 50, 60% interest, right?
Yeah.
But is that going to blow up? I don't know. But are you going to put half your net worth in there? No. But if you've got nice, safe stuff that can't lose money, I usually tell people, even in my demographic, 1 to 2% of your portfolio. Okay, so you got $1 million, put 10 grand or something in there, right? And
Yeah.
and and again, if you got $1 million, 10 grand, if it goes zero, that ain't gonna hurt you. But that thing could go to 50, 60, 100 grand or more.
Yeah.
Right? So
Like the
that's the
outlook.
idea.
Yeah.
Make
The
sense?
outlook. The outlook for Bitcoin. They said it's supposed to cross 85 by the end of the year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know,
So For me,
So
it's
it's been good to me, and I
yeah,
don't mind admitting that it's been good to me. But I only put a little bit in it, and
yeah,
I did a long time ago. So, but I was very confident because, as you know, most of my net worth is in what we call private reserve accounts or life insurance
yeah,
retirement plans, right? That's where
yeah,
my stuff is. Can't lose money.
yeah.
I mean,
Now
this is
here,
what people don't understand, that there's tools out there where no losses are optional. You don't have to lose, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, private reserves. Now, even for myself, I have my life, health, and annuities license. I'm new in the business a couple years. Even I myself, it was something that you taught me about, and it was something that I didn't know. I didn't have much education about it. Now, for people who've never even heard of it, could you just give a simple synopsis of what it is, how, why you have so many, and why you use it to do all the things that you do with it?
Okay. Yeah. So I I got into this business I was a client. Okay. And then I left the corporate life. I didn't want to go back to the office every day. And besides, I was a little bit old for an IT guy.
Right.
Uh, so I said, "What am I going to do?" And I really love what these tools do. And so I say, with truth, I don't I don't promote the tools we have because I'm in the financial services business. I'm in the financial services business, Max, because I promote the tools we have. It's a
Yeah.
different perspective, isn't it?
Hmm.
Because the tools work so well. Okay, so what is the tools? The primary tool is this private reserve account. What is that? Well, it's that awful term, life insurance. Oh, don't
Hmm.
don't don't turn off the video, folks.
Right.
Life insurance. Don't care about what it's called. Care about what it does. Okay.
Yes.
So what we do is we have a specially funded, max funded life insurance policy where we push as much cash into that policy as we can while still keeping it legal. Okay, as
Hmm.
much as the IRS will say we can put cash in there. Yes, you still have to have a death benefit. It is life insurance, but really it's more like living benefits that we're after. So it
Hmm.
takes time. This is not a get rich quick thing, but give it a few years and get it going, especially when you're young, and let that thing grow. And that thing is going to turn into what is effectively your own kind of private bank. Okay.
Hmm.
And as that cash grows, you can take that cash out. That's your money. Okay. You can take it out tax free. Okay, so you can go buy a car with it. You can do anything you want. You take a trip to Europe. Nobody's going to ask you what you're going to spend it on. Nobody's going to do a credit check, and there's no reporting requirements to the government, which I think you and I both really like. Right? It is a private transaction, and so that's your money. Now, I don't say take it out and go for a trip in Europe. That's probably not really what you want to do, but you could
Right.
do that and then pay it back. Okay, if you pay it back, now you're paying the Bank of Max. You're not paying a
Hmm.
Bank of America, right?
Hmm.
So I'm actually doing this with a number of things. Okay, my son bought a car. He needed money. I
Yeah.
loaned him money from one of these. He's paying it back every month, just like he's paying a bank, but he
Yeah.
he calls it the bank of dad. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, but he pays it with an interest rate, and he knows that someday he's going to get that money, right? So we're building our own family legacy with these tools. Okay, so the money goes in. Now the money goes in after tax. Okay, so that's the downside to some people. You don't get a tax deduction going in. But wouldn't you rather pay tax on the seed than the harvest 20 years from
Hmm.
now? Right? Doesn't that
It's a
make more
very
sense?
important concept right there.
Right. And here's the challenge though, Max. People are short-sighted. They're short-term thinkers. And they
Hmm.
line up with that 401k and they get that tax deduction. They feel like they're really doing the right thing. And I'm not down on 401ks,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that is going to be taxed later. And so, what do those qualified plans do? They delay the tax, right? And they delay the tax calculation. Think
Yeah.
about that. Think about that. You're making a deal with the most spendthrift entity on the planet, aren't you?
Right.
You want him as your
Hopefully.
partner?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not, because some money in a 401k and IRA makes a lot of sense. But people who get to retirement with $1 million in one of those or more, first of all, they're going to be looking at big tax consequences. I mean, do you think taxes are going to go up or down in the future? What do you think? Uh, uh, Everybody says that. But yet most people are putting their money in a tax delayed account, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't add up, right?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying don't put some there, but then you're going to run, then we get to 72 and then the government's going to force you to take it out, right?
Hmm.
Required minimum distributions. And that can turn into a tax problem in your later years.
Hmm. Because
Okay.
you get it and have to use it right to pay them back.
I know a guy who's taking, he's not hurting, but his required minimum distribution is like $40,000 a year.
Mm,
So he's got that
he's gotta
coming in
pay that.
taxable. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
coming in taxable. He's getting taxed on his Social Security. He's getting taxed if he has a little pension. Everything's getting taxed. And how can you plan when when you don't know how much is going to come out, when you don't know
Yeah.
how much the tax man's going to take? Right? You can't plan that way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, a big thing, a lot of this, because it's financial literacy, like it's education.
yeah.
Because a lot of people, like you said, they're short-term gainers. They want quick results. They don't want to spend the time and let it grow. Which is, if anybody that I've talked to that has invested, they say it's a slow process. If you're trying to get rich quick, most of the time you're gonna lose money quick.
You're going to lose money quick. You got it.
So for me, it's a lot of it is, and that's what I told you. The reason why I want to do this is, and you said the private reserve, it's a life insurance policy, but you had to say, don't turn this off.
Yeah.
People do not understand. They have insurance for their phones, their cars,
Yeah.
everything, their earpods, but their lives, they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, and the main reason I want to do this series of videos is to educate people. Be like, look,
Yeah.
listen, even though it doesn't look pretty, even though it's not flashy,
Yeah.
this is how you save yourself, and you can profit off something terrible happens, like your demise. Like, we're all going to pass.
Mhm.
It's not, you're not going to be here forever. So
That's
how,
one thing pretty sure, isn't it? Pretty
right?
sure.
Taxation.
Like I say, there's only been one person that ever
Yeah.
came back, right? There's only been one, and I don't
Right.
think that's us.
My name's not Enoch.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
absolutely true, man. And so, what you say, I want to build on that because it's so true. Uh, you insure your house, you insure your car, you insure your phone. What is your biggest asset at your age? You,
yeah.
your earning capacity. That is
Mhm.
your biggest asset. Even for people in their 50s and 60s, still the biggest asset. That lifetime capital potential tank is huge. It's millions of dollars. And yet, oh, that life insurance, it's bad, it's just got this reputation. And look, I do want to say some of that reputation is deserved
I agree.
because there have been a lot of shysters, right?
Yeah.
A lot of funny business. And
Hmm.
and one thing that, toot my horn a little bit, but I am fiduciary, the company I work with, we will not do any of that funny business. Okay. So what we do is we really want to change the image of the industry. We
Hmm.
want to go out there and say, these are great tools. They're not the only tools. There's other tools, but
Hmm.
why build a house with half a toolbox, right?
Yeah.
We have some tools. They may or may not fit every time,
Yeah.
but let's get the right tool for the job without bias or
Yeah.
misperception. And what we do, Max, and you know this, you've seen it. We just look
Yeah.
at numbers and we say, here's the
Yeah.
numbers, right?
Yeah.
Does it make sense to you or not?
Yeah.
And
And that's why, like, for me, I really, I reached out to you and I was like, I hope Jeff comes on. I hope he comes on, because you spend, I follow your page very closely. Whenever I go on Facebook, I don't go on Facebook very often, but I go and look because it's unbiased information. What you provide, some people don't like it. I've seen some comments. Some people are like, but it's, to anything, there are two sides. Like the stock market, some people have lost billions of dollars in the stock market, but people aren't sitting here, oh, I'm never gonna go in the stock market.
Mm, yeah,
People have been bamboozled into getting life insurance policies, but
yes, they
that's
have.
that's when you're working with people who more worried about themselves and not, like you say, we're not look they don't look at the numbers. They look and just sell you products to get you. But what I valued, and you took time. I know I didn't go forward with you. I got a lot of education from you. I haven't gone forward with you yet. Let's get that on record.
It's okay. Yet I'm
Um
long term. I'm here, man. I'm gonna be
exactly.
around a while.
Yeah, and that the you genuine. The information you give is very, very, very informative, and you put it very simple to people. And I thank you for that, and I appreciate it greatly. I just want to
Oh
let you
man,
know
I
that.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And go one another question going forward. So now, on the statement you made, what would you recommend? Not This is not okay for me. All right, someone who's my age, mid 30s, because this is the people that I'm dealing with. People
Mhm.
around my age. You say we can be more forward active with our investments,
Yeah.
but let's say you were talking to me. We've gone through the numbers. We've done this. We've done that. I don't mind people knowing all my information out there.
Hmm.
How would you? How, what advice did you give to me, and would you give someone who's in my position,
Yeah.
looking to further myself?
Well, and I can, you know, use real examples too, because by the way, my kids are about your age, and
Yeah.
they have a private reserve account. Every one of them. They have
Yeah.
them. I bought them on them when they were younger, and now they own their own. So I would suggest that if you have any kind of assets, if you've got a decent job and you put away, you got to have that emergency fund. Okay, you
Hmm.
got to do that. If you don't have a few $1,000s stashed away that you can, if your car blows up or something happens, your roof gets damaged on your house, you got to do that first. Okay, take
Hmm.
care of the first things first. And then if you have a little bit more money, you might get, it depends on every situation, is different. And of course, we look at the situations and we custom fit the tools. Maybe it's just a term life policy. It's not a full PRA to start. Okay.
Hmm.
But that's kind of for somebody who might be 30 and they've got a decent job. Maybe they got a kid or two in a house and they don't have a lot of extra money. So they just start buying the term policy, which is not expensive. But if
Hmm.
daddy gets killed on a freeway coming home from work, mom and the kids are taken care of. That's fundamental, like you say. I mean, that you got to take care of that. But if you got a little bit more money, start building your own little
Hmm.
PRA, your own small family bank, if you will. Put a few hundred a month away. Put a couple of hundred a month away to start, just a little bit, and let that thing grow. And now a couple $100 is not going to hurt you that bad. And then after 3 or 4 years, you can get a couple raises at work, get a better job or something. Kids get older and she goes to work, maybe. I don't know. Then
Hmm.
you got more money and you can do another one. Okay.
More.
And now you got this growing pool of capital that's performing pretty well, tax free, and you can get to it. It has liquidity, use, and control. You control it. Okay.
Hmm.
This is a word I've been triggering on a lot lately because we talked about your partner in your 401k. Do you really control your 401k? Not really, right? You've got some investment manager managing it. Most people
Yeah.
don't even know what's in it. And
Yeah.
you can't touch it till 59 and a half without a 10% penalty.
Hmm.
And then when you take it out, you got the partner there. So you really don't have that control. You think about the difference in a private reserve account. It's your money. You can see it anytime. Nobody else can touch it. You can take it out if you want to. You don't have to. You
Hmm.
shouldn't probably, but let it grow. But if you need something for an emergency, see, this is getting me started here, but this is a fundamental problem with 401ks. And we saw that last year. A lot of people said, man, I don't want to touch that 401k. That's my retirement money. So I'm going to hit those credit cards, right?
Hmm.
And then they run up credit card debt at 20%, right? So they've got their 401k still there, making 6% maybe,
Yep.
and they got this
20%
big credit
interest.
card debt because they lost their job or something happened, and now they got $10,000 to $20,000 credit card debt at 20%. So this is another danger of 401k. Again, I'm not against them, but use them wisely, carefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Build something else, diversify, right? Get your money in something safe, some of your money in something safe, and then you got that permission slip to go buy those cryptos or whatever you want to do, gold, whatever you like, right?
I like it.
Okay,
I'm
man.
gonna. Yeah. Let me see here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was trying to stop the recording. It wasn't. They didn't allow me to.
Did you stop it?
That's good there.
I'll
Yeah,
stop
but